What's good, artists? It's Curtis King of CurtisKingBeats.com here with another Artist Marketing 911. Artists, today we're going to discuss the subject of management. We're going to talk about when you need a manager. We're going to talk about when a manager is absolutely necessary. We're going to talk about what a manager does and what a manager doesn't do. I myself, I've had many managers. I've had some managers that were learning on the fly, and I've had some amazing managers. The last manager I had was the most amazing manager I ever had. But the subject of whether or not you need a manager when it comes to the music industry, it really depends on what your particular needs are. It depends on where you're at in your career. Now, a common rule of thumb is that you want to get a manager when the business of your music becomes so tedious and so out of control. The phone calls are coming from left and right, and you cannot balance it all because of the demands of creating the art as well as the business of the art. And usually when it gets to that level, you won't have to go looking for management. Management will come looking for you. So it's really about knowing when you're at the right stage to have management. Management is not for when your career has hit a wall and you have no idea what to do next. That's the worst time to try to get management. Your manager is not supposed to be somebody that saves your career. It's not supposed to be even somebody that finances your career. Your manager is supposed to manage the business of your music. Great qualities for a manager. I gotta say, the greatest managers that I've had have always been passionate about my music. They've always been passionate about not just the music itself, but the goals that I have for my music. They've been passionate about the particular subgenre that I'm in. For example, you can have a manager that's amazing when it comes to managing bands. On the other hand, you can have a manager that doesn't know anything about hip hop and then becomes in control of your business and tries to run the same plays he would for a band for you. So in that situation, you want to make sure it's somebody who's passionate about your music, passionate about your field, enough to where they can almost predict some of the obstacles you're going to come in contact with. You need somebody with some foresight. With that foresight, I think another great quality of a manager is somebody that you trust to be your mentor, somebody that you trust their knowledge. You want somebody that you can learn from. You don't want somebody that you have to constantly teach and tell them, oh, this is this and this is that and this is how this works. You want somebody who knows the business and somebody who knows how to handle themselves. You want to have somebody who's constantly ahead of the curve, somebody who can forecast within your industry what's coming next. Now, I'm not saying you need a psychic. All I'm saying is you need somebody who's seen enough of the trends in the industry to know that they repeat themselves. You need to have somebody who understands how to take advantage when a trend comes back or how to take advantage when another cycle comes back. You want to have somebody that understands the current playing field that it is now. Somebody that's very much in touch with the times. Another great quality you want to have in a manager is you want to have somebody that's professional, not just online, but offline as well. When I say offline, I mean when they're shaking hands and they're meeting people, you want to have somebody that can really express themselves in a very articulate manner and express your brand in the right way. Because you have to understand, in the music industry, there are certain people who are not quote unquote hip hop, but they are business and they want to be talked to accordingly. So you want to have somebody who can represent you in the most professional manner possible. You want to have somebody that articulates your goals and articulates what your music stands for in a very clear and precise manner. Having that will be a great advantage in making sure that you get around the right people. Along with the professionalism comes, of course, somebody who's prompt and on time. So you want to make sure that manager is somebody who is on your head, if anything, about what time are you going to be here because this is the time that I negotiated for this meeting to go down. Another great quality in a manager is having somebody who already has relationships within the industry. This can be a great benefit to you as you start to line up your goals and you start to tell them clearly what you want to get accomplished. It's important for them to have people within your network to help advance your career. You already know it's not about what you know, it's about who you know. So you want to have somebody who already has a pretty great network. Now, I think there's a lot of misconceptions about what a manager represents. I said it earlier, they're not here to finance your career. That is not their job. They are not your promoter. They are not even somebody who's supposed to jump online and do all your promotion. They're not your assistant. These are not their roles. I broke down the roles of a manager into 3 different categories. The number 1 role of a manager, negotiator. You need somebody that's going to talk on your behalf. You need to have somebody that is going to keep you in the loop of everything, but somebody who's great at negotiating. You want to have somebody who can overlook a contract, somebody who can put it into very clear terms what somebody's offering, and you want somebody that can negotiate the things that you may feel uncomfortable with and negotiate that with the person that's putting the contract out. You want to have somebody that can negotiate shows with you. You want to have somebody that can negotiate your price. Basically, you want to have somebody who has to be the bad guy sometimes because You don't want to burn relationships or burn bridges from having to represent yourself. It happens sometimes when you have certain relationships where things might have been free before, but you have somebody who comes and represents you and they're supposed to get a percentage. Speaking of percentages, it really depends on where you're at in your career. Most managers are going to ask between 15 to 20%. Number 2 role of a great manager. You want to have somebody who's in the field networking. You want to have somebody who's out there on foot, not just online, not just sending tweets. You want to have somebody who's actually out there on the field, shaking hands, kissing babies, talking to DJs, talking to radio promoters, talking to press, talking to blogs, talking to all these different people that can put your career in a different place. You want somebody that's not afraid to go talk to people. You want somebody that's not afraid to represent your brand. You want somebody that's so passionate about your brand and your music that they're not afraid to go talk to somebody that many people deem as intimidating. They'll go talk to them, especially if they feel like they can advance your career. And that includes any powerful figure. That could be an artist, that could be a producer, that could be other management, that could be DJs, that could be PRs, whatever the case may be. And the third role of a manager is to basically be there for decision making as well as campaign strategies. Also, too, you want somebody that can plan out your album with you. You want somebody that can lay out a specific strategy for what do we need to do? What do we need to do to put your album or your song or your music video in as many relevant faces as possible? You need somebody with some great planning skills. You want to have somebody that can, once again, break down the pros and cons of a situation. You want them to be able to understand both sides of an argument. But at the same time, if you trust this individual, you want to believe that they have your best interest at hand. And when they're making decisions on your behalf, understand you set out a goal and it's their goal to get that goal accomplished so that one day they can get paid. So in that situation, you have to not only trust them, but you have to trust yourself. You want to make sure that you want to have somebody even in control of your decision making. Now, me personally, like I said, I had one of the greatest managers that you could ever have, one of the best managers in LA. And for me, I got to a point where here I am, 31 years old, and there's a lot of things that I know about this industry. I don't know it all, but at the same time, I understand the role of a manager. A manager is supposed to be there to basically get that goal accomplished, whatever goal you set out. And along the way, they're going to have to make a lot of decisions for you. For me, I'm at that stage where I just want to make the decisions for myself. I'm at that stage now where I know my business very, very well, and I'm able to control the pieces that I have. And at the time that I parted ways with my manager, I actually felt like I didn't have enough business for there to be managed. For me, I'm really making a huge transition as an independent artist into the entrepreneur field. And there's certain decisions that I need to be able to make at a split notice. There's certain decisions that I need to be able to run right here and right now. And when you have somebody else that's involved in your business, that's not a luxury that you have. That's not how great relationships are built. You want to make sure that you talk to the manager that you do have, and you want to make sure that they're in on every decision. You want to make sure that you respect their perspective on decisions. Because when you go off and you rebel and you do whatever the hell you want to do, you could have did that on your own. Why are you involving somebody else in your business and not allowing them to do the things that make them great? Why would you not allow them to do that? And that's my particular situation. Now, you may have a lot of moving pieces. You may have a lot of things moving. And like I said, people will come look for you. Managers will come look for you. But definitely before you make a decision to relinquish the control of your company, before you make the decision to relinquish your representation, because sometimes there's bad managers that can mess up certain relationships that you have without you even knowing they're messing up the relationships. And you think that this person, because they're professional with you, they're professional with everybody else. And that's just not the case. So be very careful about this decision. Be very aware of where you're at in your career. Don't make it a desperation move. Understand where you're at. Understand what a manager's role is. And then look at your career and see if that's something that you need. This has been another Artist Marketing 911, Curtis King of CurtisKingBeats.com. And now, a word from our sponsors. Play this every morning when you wake up. Oh, gosh told me not to sing on this, but I promise you, I feel like mystical. Hey, come on, let me get this.
Curtis King with 2 S's, Beats.com. Curtis King with 2S's Beats.com.